How did your faith shape your marriage and the way that you approach challenges? Because like, in every marriage there are challenges.
Faith actually played a very big role in our relationship from the beginning. So the one thing that we were taught when we were young is that husband and wife, they are each other's garment. So they have to cover each other. And how that translates in practical terms is always respecting each other, always looking out for each other, always keeping everything between the two of you, and just being there for each other. So that had played a very, very large role in keeping us together in a very healthy relationship. And did you want to add something?
Yeah, and part of our faith is, like Matt they're made in heaven. So we believe that we were together before this world, and we're going to be together after. So why cause trouble in this world? Stay happy. Yeah, there are things that happen, right? But you're in it for a long run, so might as well make the best of the situation. Yeah.
I like that because, I have had guests who are from your Muslim religion, but it's funny because nobody told me about that. I think I like that idea. Like you said, like a garment. You have to be taking care of this garment, and then the same thing, you are gonna be together is attached to each other by hook or by crook, from before, now, and later. Okay, you're stuck.
Yeah. Stuck in a good way. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because you have children, right?
Yes,
so are they also practicing, or you're open to them? Because everybody has their own mindset nowadays.
So no, we're old school. They do practice what we practice. So it's just and we try our best. So, but they're gonna do their own thing.
You give them the basics, the foundation, and then at some point they have to make their own decisions. But you try to set them up for success in every way. So they're well-rounded, they're balanced kids. They know the basics, but then they go out and they explore, and then they decide who they want to be. But at least from our side, we give them everything that we can to create a strong foundation.
Okay, can I be your adopted child? Okay, no, because you seem like you're very cool parents. That's the reason why, I said that. But you're both business people, so it can be too much of a responsibility. It can be demanding. So how do you ensure that marriage doesn't take a back seat?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the one word that I will say is boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important things that we learned, because for the longest time I was a corporate guy. I climbed the ladder. It took me 25 years. And at the time we had decided that we were going to be in our own lanes and roles. But when I stepped away from corporate, we actually became business partners. And probably the most friction that we've ever felt in life was when we became business partners, because we were our own individual people and we just never had done that kind of transactions before. So boundaries were the most important things, because without them, before we set the boundaries, we would always cross wires and things would get, pretty tense unnecessarily. So I think this is a very good question, actually, because this is probably the most important thing that I would give advice on, is that always define your boundaries and don't bring your personal emotions into it. And you probably can share much more.
Yeah, when I moved here to live with him, I was expecting my first child, and we decided, I'm going to take care of the house. He's going to go work, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and everything was defined. I'm going to take care of this. You have, all the work and outside things. But as our kids grew up, and with my background in fashion, I entered into the wellness world, and we started working. And when we started working, we were two headstrong people stepping on each other's toes and stuff. So we quickly learned that we have to define boundaries, because he's a total corporate email, shoot an email for everything kind of guy. I'm a pick up a call and just talk to the person. So we had to define everything, what works for us. So as a system, So yeah, it was challenging, but we came over it, and it worked out.
So what do you do? Do you have regular family meeting, the two of you?
Well, that was probably one of the most important boundaries, was defining when is work and when does work end. Because typically when you have a business that's run from the home, even though you have teams all over the place, if you don't have an end time for your business, you don't have a personal life then. It's just all business. So one of the most important things I think that we did was actually set boundaries on our times. Mm-hmm. We work from now until this time, and that's it. No more after that.
So what time do you end?
4 or 5-ish.
4 or 5-ish. Okay, all right.
And same thing, so we also learned like we have to switch off from work to get into the family mode, because if you had an argument in the morning, that can carry you on into the evening, you know,
That's
and
right.
that does not have anything related to your marriage or your, like family life, and the kids don't have to suffer. So that's when we're like, okay, we gotta turn out, and no talking about work after a certain time, and especially at night before going to bed, it's just like that's like the time for rest and just sleep. So having those boundaries really helped us.
Yeah, that can be challenging because, like, the mind is always working. So
Yep.
even when you're in bed already, like, okay, I have a business idea. And so, like,
Yeah.
So interesting. So I would always talk about business ideas right before I went to sleep, and she could not go to sleep all night. That was another boundary that we had to set.
That's right.
Just don't talk after the specific time. So
He just like, just tell me this idea and then go to sleep. And my mind is like, I'm like a troubleshooter. I want to
That's
fix
right.
things and make things perfect. And entire night I'm like planning and systemizing, the entire idea. And it was
That's
just
right.
like, I'm like, he's like passed out. And I'm like, why did you do this to me? I couldn't go to sleep all night. So it's just like, we're like, okay, we're not going to talk about work, after certain hours, or especially at bed.
So do you always have similar ideas? Because, like, it seems like, you're jiving with that idea that he has. So, like, do you always have the same kind of ideas? Like, I'm not sure.
So
like,
it's funny, we're like very different on so many levels, and but I take it's like and in some cases we're polar opposites, but I take it as like he completes me and I complete him, So what I don't have, he has it, and if like, and there's some places, like where I cannot do certain things, he jumps in, so we take it like that, instead of like, oh, why are you doing this, and like, oh no, you need to jump in, you're faster or stronger or whatever, all those things. So you want to say something, you want to add?
yeah. So sometimes the ideas match, and sometimes our ideas are very different, and then we can run the ideas through each other because we come at things very differently. I come very structured, she comes very creatively. But between the two of us, typically when it gets through both of our filters, it's an idea that actually has been vetted very well. So I think the differences that we have sometimes become our biggest strength, because we see things completely differently. And because we're in it for the long haul, we're not in it for me or you, it's just a we. So it works out very well, actually.
okay. So there's no more reminding, oh, where are we?
Well, stuff can happen, so there's still, like room, for error, but we're flexible, so we try to stay flexible.
You said, like, you have boundaries. So do you have, because you have children too, so do you have, like, date nights just for the two of you? Okay, all right.
Yeah, 100%.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. Because, the reality is that when you're married to somebody, and we've been married for more than 20 years, a lot of what you do is very administrative. It's the management, is the day-to-day, it's the doctor's appointment, it's the in-laws, it's managing the house, the bills, the mortgage, and everything. And we have a lot of respect for each other. And I don't try to change her, she doesn't try to change me. But that spark is really important to keep alive. So we go for walks, we have date nights, we have movie nights when we don't talk about anything but just us, even the kids. And I think that's just a really important part to always keep in your relationship. So it stays alive. The spark stays alive.
Okay, I cannot believe you said, like, you've been married 20 years. You look like 18. How did it happen? So you both value self-development. How does that play a role in keeping your marriage thriving?
We take self-development as, building a structure together. So if one person does it and goes, higher, you need support for that structure. And if it's too high, it's going to fall. So we try to, in whatever area of life, we just grow together. So we're like supporting each other and building, like whatever we're building together. So that's like the approach we have, because when I started like doing certain things, and he was not on board. I brought him on board. I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is good for us. Let's do this. And he loved it. And we've been doing it together. And we've done so much self-development stuff together. And it just brought us together more. And I see some people, it's like, oh, the husband's doing, their own thing. The wife is doing their own thing. And then they're like, oh, we grew apart, because you were not doing stuff together. So that's why, it's important to just be, at least have your spouse involved, even if they're not directly involved, just like keep them involved. And he can talk more about that, like how when he was working and I was staying home, how we worked that out.
So it's interesting. So when I was climbing the corporate ladder, from the bottom all the way to the top, every step along the way, I always kept her up to speed on everything that was going on. So if I was learning something new, and in some ways she was growing with me, because she's my best friend. You tell everything to your best friend. And as I was growing on the corporate side, she was growing on the wellness, health and wellness side, because there was something that happened to her where it forced her to really dive deep into the wellness side. And she kept me up to speed on the wellness side. So we would do everything together. So that was before we actually became business partners. And then when we became business partners, we tried to cover all the areas of life together. And I think this was one of the best things. So career, health and wellness, it was spirituality we grew together. It was personal development. So I think that was really important because we didn't grow apart, we grew together. The more we knew about each other. So I think that was helpful.
And I can add one more thing to it, just like what he said, like what happened was actually I was given 1.5 years to live 15 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so, and he, like I didn't tell him because he was my biggest support. I was like, okay, like I don't want him to be sad or in that energy, and I'm going to fight this. And I was doing a lot of like cleansing and lifestyle change and, detox and eating healthy, all those things. And I brought him along the journey. He didn't know. He was just like, oh, we're having, healthier lifestyle. But it's just like one of those things. Now I'm hearing from people that partner gets sick, they just divorce them, It's
yeah, I heard that too.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just like crazy. So it's just like he stood by me. He supported me, even though he didn't know anything. But that really helped me, like his energy is like, oh, we come out of the hospital. We were in LA at that time. So it's like, let's go to, the beach, So I had like all the tags and tapes and I'm like at the beach, So, but that really helped me recover. So even though like, if you have challenges, it's just like one of those situations, if your partner's, like you teamed up with them, they will help you come back from anywhere. Yep.
No, I cannot believe that because like, aside from the physical health, it will also affect you mentally. Like, there's depression and all those things like, oh my God, I only have like limited number of days. And then like, my children are growing. So yeah, that was like, amazing that you were able to do that and then like not even tell him and then like surprise, I'm in the hospital. So that's the only time that he learned that there's something wrong.
So he knew that I was sick, but he didn't know, I had like a date or expiration date,
The doctor gave her a timeline.
Yeah, I didn't
that you have this
that.
long to live. She never told me that part. But I knew that, there was obviously health issues because we would always be in the hospital. And our kids were young at the time. But she never told me the deadline. That, hey, the doctor said that, hey, this is how much time you have left.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. That's good. So like, there's no approval from you that, the doctor can share it to him.
It was more like, I didn't want him to be sad or in like a negative energy. I wanted, if it were, my last days, I'm like, I want him to be happy. And my kids were really young, I didn't want to give them trauma as well. So it was just like, let's have happy memories, so. And then, the surprise part was actually, oh, surprise, I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So like, the healing journey worked for you. Okay, all right. That will be another conversation. How did you do it?
Yeah.
All right. What advice would you give to Muslim singles seeking a lifetime partner?
Ooh, so, and this is not just for Muslim, so one thing, I personally think who's looking for somebody is just make a list of what you want. Mm-hmm. And become that yourself, right? So if you're expecting, oh, like I need this and I need this in a person, first become that yourself.
That's right.
Right? And I think it's going to be like a couple of days, they'll be like, no, I don't want this, So I think that's the main thing. Most important thing is just accepting the other person as they are, not trying to like change them or mold them into anything, because if somebody does that to you, you're not going to like it. So let them appreciate their good things. And, when you accept somebody, you're like, one thing bad about them is okay, whatever, So it's just like, you just let go. There's certain things I still don't like, and I'm like, okay, whatever, I just don't care.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to be nitpicking on things. Like, nobody's perfect anyway.
Yep. Everybody
has something.
Shortcomings. So, accept the shortcomings and just look for I can just survive and he can take care of me and I can take care of this person, and that's how life goes on, and you just take care of each other. And there is administrative stuff, boring stuff, which actually is not fun, but you just do it. like a roommate, like friends.
Yeah. You can feel it, right? When
Yeah.
there's something
yeah.
wrong, right? So like you don't even have to communicate.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And what I would say to the guys is that when you find the right person, stop looking. Stop comparing.
That's right.
Because when you start comparing, you just kill connection. So when you find the right person, invest in that person and figure out whether it's the right person or not. Because, you know, there's no perfect. Yeah, and, you know, if you look at yourself, so that's my advice. When you find the right person, stop looking, stop comparing, and invest your energy into that person to understand them. So.
Yeah. I remember one of my clients, he said like, I want to meet another lady. I said like, you're not even complete with this lady that you're meeting right now. Like, you know, just go. Because like he said like, oh my God, like, you know, she's testing my patience. And I said like, isn't it that you wanted somebody patient? So you have to be patient yourself. Like, you know, and then he said like, yeah, because like, you know, if you want to be patient, you have to be patient. You know, it's a reverse thing. Like you have to be following what you want, and if you want to be lovable, you be lovable. So that's the way it is. So I really appreciate you being over here. Like, you know, it's been helpful. Like, you know, I really like my guests today because like, you know, I met them before, and then I always say like, okay, they're perfect for each other. So like, thank you so much for sharing your nuggets. I'm sure there are a lot of people, you know, both married and single, who are looking like, you know, can find something out of what you have shared.